Hi everybody and every pony. I've noticed that quite a few people in the Brony community are curious to learn more about Celestia and Luna. I can't say that I blame them. After all, who wouldn't be interested in learning about such intriguing characters? However, I have some theories on why these characters have not been explored more thoroughly. Now, keep in mind, this is all my opinion, and it is possible I'm reading too much into what is essentially meant to be a children's show. Now, from what I've learned about Lauren Faust, she seems like a woman with a pretty strong feminist side to her. As a kid, she apparently found the old, girly incarnations of the characters offensive, and obviously had a good imagination, since she would create adventures with her pony toys that apparently included a few of the adventure episodes that we've seen in the show, although I'm not sure which ones most closely resemble her childhood imaginings. All this is a somewhat drawn-out way of saying it seems likely that Faust would support the idea of an all-powerful mother figure who is also a goddess. It's hard to say exactly what role Luna was intended to fill. I mean, she did appear to Scootaloo in that dream, but that was about the only meaningful thing I've seen her do since she was weaned off those nightmare moon drugs she was on. Further proof that Celestia is basically God to these characters is, of course, the use of such phrases as "in the name of Celestia." If you'll permit me a quick side note here, I would personally enjoy it if something were irritating the princess in a future episode and she blurted out, "Oh, for the love of me." Getting back on topic, it should also be pointed out that sending your little sister to the moon for 1,000 years, which I'm sure is like an afternoon for mortals like them, is certainly a godly-sized timeout. So I think I made it clear that Celestia is the all-powerful mother goddess of Equestria. If this is in fact the case, then good job MLP creators for creating a culture that is led by a strong female ruler. Now obviously we have never seen a pony church on the show, at least that I'm aware of, and I assume that's because the creators wanted to leave religion out of it, but I imagine that when we're not seeing them, that these characters might pray to their goddess ruler. Now obviously, God is a bit different for everyone. Whether it's a man, a woman, or an androgynous being, as I believe, it manifests itself differently depending on who you ask. Is it fair to assume that only people who practice one type of religion watch MLP? Of course not. Therefore, if Celestia is God, then it might be safe to assume that the creators of the show made an agreement to keep her and her sister purposely vague. That way, no one's views on God can be, quote, proven right. We can piece together some things about the Regal sisters based on what we've seen on the show so far. I know, for example, that although Twilight has deep respect for the princess, she appears to harbor some amount of fear towards her. This is probably due to her being aware of the princess banishing her sister to a barren space rock for a full millennia. However, piecing things together is all we can do. It is my opinion that this was an intentional choice on the writers' parts. I don't think there will ever be a concrete episode where we get to learn about Celestia or Luna in an absolute this is how it happened sort of way. I made another video, which you can find in my video gallery, about personal thoughts for the final season of MLP. If the writers are ever going to present us with undeniable truths about Celestia, I think that it would have to wait until the final season of the show. If you don't wish to watch that video, let me sum it up by saying that I believe that Celestia and Luna were goddesses sent down to Earth in pony form to aid the ponies in a time of unrest and not getting alongingness, which may be a metaphor for the real world. Celestia attempted to teach the not very well developed backstory character Star Swirl the magic of friendship in order to be able to head back to wherever she and her sister came from. When that failed, by the way, I'd like to know if Star Swirl gave her any grief over not getting to become the next ruler of Equestria. She realized she needed to work on her strategy a bit more. When Twilight came along, she realized she had a second chance. I do not know exactly what the final season of MLP will entail, although I lay out my personal ideas a bit more clearly in the other video. But I do believe that there should be an acknowledgement in the series finale that Celestia had never intended to live among the mortal ponies till the end of time. So she's going to leave, and if there's ever a Generation 5, which I doubt since this has been the most successful so far, then the ponies of that generation will actually go to equestrian churches where they will pray to Celestia and her sister in times of need. The princess of that generation, perhaps a long descendant of Twilight, will lead her people, or ponies, by the examples that Celestia taught her ancestors, but we will never actually get to see the goddesses. But once again, that's all my opinion, and I'm probably reading way too much into it. Anyway, let me know what you think, and praise Celestia.